don't ever come out of that fucking room, I'm going to kill you, you bastard. I said, listen, son, I've got something to tell you. He said, you're making your league debut tomorrow. And I went, I should fucking think so as well. And I hit him, right, but I swear to God, I hit him that hard. I nearly shit myself. It hurt me, the tackle hurt me. His hip come up to my head and I just grabbed the gun out of his holster. And the music was blared and apparently he shouted, don't shoot the gun. And it come up on the news as I'm going into I'm in the meat bag and it said, ex-Everton star Mark Ward's being remanded in custody. And then all the lads are banging on the thing and I thought, I was made up because on the Sunday, Brian Clough said, take Ward to the World Cup, he's just destroyed the best left back in the world. You've got a terrible attitude, you son. I said, you're a terrible fucking manager. I said, yeah, speaking. He went, Howard Kendall. He said, don't go to Spain, son, it's shit. He just picked me up like that, I swear to God, and just threw me on the ground. Started standing on me. Like, because a lot, when that door slams, it's a difficult place to be.
Matt Ward, how are we doing?
Good, Chris, good. Just finished work, as you can see.
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah, it's just had quite an easy day today, so my second injection tomorrow for the COVID.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah, good.
How were you after the first one?
You know what? Some of the lads, you know, some of them spewed up and some of them weren't well, but I'm a Scouser and we're used to getting a job.
Yes, it up.
Thanks for having us, by the way.
Yeah. We've had a lot of positive response, especially to the book. A lot of people saying they've read it and it's a cracker,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it was a long time ago now, but I was saying to Chris before, you know, when I went to prison, I didn't expect to write a book. You know, that's the last thing on my mind because it was a devastating experience. But, you know, when publishers write to you, and then I always remember my cellmate Paul McGrath, not the Paul McGrath. He was a lad who was already in the prison, and we'd been in the same football team as kids, and he was an avid reader of footballers' books. You know, he was a Liverpool supporter. All the Liverpool lads, even Man United books. He just loved football, and I sat down and I just wrote a chapter called "Shooting the Pope." It's when I shot Barry Horn at a Christmas party at Everton, and
What were you shot with? What?
I shot him with a proper gun. Yeah, it was,
Not a spud gun.
that's a story. Yeah. So I wrote the story, the chapter. Sorry, "Shooting the Pope," and I gave it to him. I said, "Paul, just be honest, mate. If it's no good," I said, "just tell me." And he read it. He said, "Fucking hell, Woody, that's the bollocks, that." He said, "If the rest of the book's like that," and I just chipped away at it through the 4 years that I'd done, you know. And it was good. I was saying to Chris that it gave me something to do, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but going back to the "Shooting the Pope," yeah, it was Everton's Christmas nights were always fancy dress, and they were in the Continental Club in Liverpool, and we'd start on a Sunday around about 12 o'clock, and it'd go straight to go round the boozers, and then we're in the nightclub. And I think this year I was dressed as Dennis the Menace, and remember John Ebrell being a bit of a nuisance, coming up and punching me and running off, and my brother said, "Fucking hell, Mark, he's out of order." So I just turned round and there was a giant, it must have been about 1 o'clock in the morning, absolutely bladdered, and I bumped into this giant. It was Dave Watson, my captain's next door neighbour. This is what I've been told. Anyway, it was that big, his hip come up to my head, and I just grabbed the gun out of his holster, and the music was blared, and apparently he shouted, "Don't shoot the gun. Don't shoot the gun." But I'm already off looking for John. Go to the first bar, couldn't find him. Go to the second bar, and who stood there? Barry Horn. Remember Barry, great midfielder, dressed as the Pope. I stood behind him, the legend Neville Southall. And Neville, who's the one that didn't go as fancy dress, because you don't tell Nev what to do, you know. So I'm there, stood with this gun, and Barry says, "What are you doing with that gun, Woody?" I said, "I'm going to smash Ebbo over the head with it." He said, "I'll just shoot the Pope, so just let it go." It was a proper gun with a blank bullet in it. Right, so it hit him right in the chest, and he's fell back against the bar, and his tunic's gone on fire. the noise was deafening. There's women screaming and all that, and I'm stood there with this fucking gun. Yeah, the smoking gun. My midfield partner's on the floor like that. I think I've killed him. I swear to God. The bouncers have come, grabbed hold of me, and I remember Roy Wright, one of the lads, he threw a pint over him to put him out. All the fire, he was on fire. So I just always think, if I'd have got hold of John and we, got him on the floor and pulled the trigger, because I don't know much about guns. I know from Liverpool, but fucking hell, not that bad. And apparently a blank bullet can kill you. You know what I mean? It's short distance and can be dangerous. But who would ever bring a gun out like that?
Oh, that's what I was just about to
Was he in
allude
fancy
to.
dress?
Sorry?
Was he in fancy dress, the lad
He
with
was
the
in
gun?
fancy dress. He was the cowboy, yeah. So I wrote that and, obviously I just went on from there and just sat down and scribbled away for 4 years and put it all together. And a lot of people say, oh, you never wrote it. But I said, of course I wrote it at the time, didn't I? You know what I mean? So it was always ongoing.
I'm just trying to picture Barry on fire at
Well, Barry tells the story as well. A lot of people tell the story, and it was just, I think what it was, because I didn't know it was a proper gun with the blank bullets in, and when the noise and the recoil and everything else, and the fire, his tunic went on fire. And the next day, Howard Kennel, my great manager, he had us all in training. And you know what? He was an owl ass at times, because he had us doing head and practice with all hungover and all that. So all the centre halves, centre forwards. And he was just, he said to me, I've heard about you shooting the Pope last night. And it got out, but it should never have happened because it's dangerous, very dangerous. And got loads of stories about Christmas nights, especially at West Ham.
I can't believe it's an actual gun. Like a proper gun.
Yeah, proper gun.
He did warn you not to shoot it though, didn't he?
Well, I didn't hear him, did I? he brought us, we all had our costumes to take back to the shop the next day, and Barry was one of the last in. Anyway, he comes into the dressing room and he just fucking throws it on the floor, and it's all big, big hole and it burns and all that. He said, I'm not fucking paying for that. You can pay for it. And he lifted his t-shirt up and he had the bruise. But the impact, he had a bruise on his chest. So it just shows you what could have
Imagine
happened.
he's got an airy chest as well, Barry, on, hasn't he? That frizzy
Yeah,
chest
that's
there.
right, yeah. But the
Probably
thing
saved
is,
him.
I always say I could have been in the nick well before I fucking went to prison.
Oh man.
We'll get on to career. Was it? Did you get some stick from the other inmates when you went in? Obviously, with your football background.
I knew quite a lot of the lads that were in there, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because the way I've been brought up, and not to be proud of, but there was lads in there that were doing big sentences and that. So, but the thing, I thought I was going to get bail on the Saturday, and because the solicitor said, Mark, you played in a Merseyside derby, a Manchester derby, a London derby, and a Birmingham derby. He said, you played in every major city in this. He said, so, I think you'll get bail for sure. And then I always remember the magistrates, my daughter was there and the family, and it's very rare that the magistrates go out when they ask for bail. They come back and said, bail's not granted on the grounds of known acquaintances. That was it. So I was going straight to Walton. And when you've got that sort of, you think you're getting bail, and then next minute you're in the meat wagon going to Walton, and they have the radio on, and there's other prisoners going to the prison, and it come up on the news as I'm going into I'm in the meat wagon. It said ex-Everton star Mark Ward's being remanded in custody, and then all the lads are banging on the thing, and I thought to myself straight away, then I've got to get myself sorted out, because my mindset was getting out on bail. And then I remember going up to the custody, to check in, and a screw just said to me, "You're going to be with us for a long time, son." So that it's home to me, and the first night they put me on the lifers wing, because the prison was that full, so I was there for 2 weeks. But I remember standing there in front of this big red door, lifers, and I had me towel and all my bedding and things like that, and I just looked at the door and I thought, fucking hell, I've rented a house out, and but it was a very serious.
Yeah.
So did you get 8 years?
I got 8. I got 12 really, but I pleaded guilty at the first offence, the first time I could, sorry, and so they got a third off. So I'd got an 8 and I'd done 4.
For
So
people that don't know, can you just tell us
Yeah.
the crack for what happened?
just quickly, I rented a house out for the lads that I knew. I'd not long been back from Australia, and it's no excuse. I'd done it for a monetary gain, And one of them come to me and my brother's pub and said, "Mark, will you rent a house out for us? Just give us the keys. No one's going to ask you questions because you're the ex-Premiership player." And And funnily enough, they give me the money, the cash, and I went into the estate agent to ask about this house that they'd picked. And he was an Evertonian, the guy who was running the estate agents, and he went, I won't do any because I had checks, this, that, the other, boom, that was it. And that's the gist of it, really. And obviously I knew that was for the, they said for the stash. So when you look at the word, the stash, it's something valuable that,
Yeah.
And that's what they do. People these drug dealers, especially the top fellas, they need places to houses and that, safe houses to put them in. And because I didn't disclose who I'd rented the house out for, I had to take it on the chin because, there were certain people saying, well, I think that's pathetic and, you should have done the right thing. But at the end of the day, I wanted to come out of prison, and not look behind me every 5 minutes and protect my family as well, to be honest. Because
So people were saying you should have grassed them up. But
yeah, exactly, Chris. And the thing is, I knew what I was getting into in that was my part of it all, renting the property. I never lived there. But, unknown to me, the firm that I was involved with, it was called Operation Vatican. They'd already been under obs by the police for 18 months.
And they got you in because you shot the pub. Go on.
I never thought of that. But that's how big the operation was on these lads, you know what I mean? So it was over the 3-year period that, and they arrested them. I'd been in prison for about 10 months and they arrested them all. So
If you don't ask,
altogether.
what was your financial situation at the time? Obviously, coming out of football, was it something that you needed to do, or was it just an opportunity you thought?
I'll be honest with you, I've just, I've always said this, being a footballer yourself, you don't look after your money, and if you don't plan for life after football, you'd always think it's always going to be there, or you'll get a coaching job or a manager's job, or even in the media or something like that. And that's all my life was, football, and that's why I did it, because I went over to Australia, tried to open a soccer school because of my age. Because of my age, I was 42 then. They said you needed a distinguished talent visa. I always remember my mate, Peter Jones. I stayed with him, Scouser, and my holiday visa was up, and he said, I'll take you down to immigration, we'll sort it out. And we get to immigration, we queue up. So we get to the front of the queue, and I've got my passport, I've got a week left, and he goes to the girl, this is me mate, he's been staying with me, he's only got a week left, and he wants to stay in Australia. And she looked at the passport, and she said, well, he can't, because his visa's running out. So, well, can't you extend it? No, because of his age. Well, what can he do? Well, he's got to have a distinguished talent visa. And he said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, he's got to prove to the Australian government that he's good at what he does. He went, good? He scored against the fucking Red Shite in the derby. I just went, oh, fucking hell, give us that.
I'm up my flight.
Swear to God, that's what he said. And Peter, I miss him. He was a funny lad. So I walked out and I come home, and be honest with you, it's like I fell ill. I was in hospital for 2 weeks. I thought I had a suspected aneurysm, and it's no excuse. I was on my arse, and one of the lads, when I come out of the Aussie, and he went, do you want to go back to Australia? I said, yeah. He said, listen, rent the house out and we'll give you a few quid, and I'll give you, and that was the reason.
Opportunity.
And that was the, people can believe it or not, and people will always have divided opinion about me. I'd never been in trouble before, or, since, and we all know, I always say this, football is, the public property, and when you go wherever you go, in any part of England or Scotland or Wales, Ireland, there's always people out there who but they don't have like drug dealer or, thief and all that. You know villains, don't you? Mm. And it's something that I regret. But I've picked myself up and I'm working, as you can see.
When they came knocking, I take it was completely out the blue when you got rumbled. What happened?
I was at a funeral, and they just they'd gone to the property, and they'd been watching everyone. It was unbelievable, the operation. And I was at the crematorium, and the police had gone into the property and found the 4 kilos. And
Is that a lot? I don't.
It is, yeah. Well,
What would that be
700
worth?
grand's worth for it?
yeah, it was a few quid, like, but you know, probably over the course of the time there'd been a lot more in there, you know. So at the time, so
You'd be up for a few nights, John.
Eh?
You'd be up for a few nights.
fucking hell, yeah.
I don't know how much 4 kilo
Yeah,
is.
it's a lot. But, you know, what they'd done, the police, they rang up the estate agents and the estate agent asked me to go back to the house. And I was sat next to my Uncle Tommy and I went, Tom, I've got to go. He went, where are you going? I said, I think I knew. I mean, in my heart. But I didn't want to involve anyone. So I drove to where the property was. And there was half a Merseyside police outside. And I tried to get to my brother's pub. And I got away. I could still run then, like. And I dumped
you legged it?
I dumped the car. I was just shocked, you know what I mean? I thought. And I went through a builder's yard and there was these two.
So they're chasing you on foot? It's a proper...
Yeah. So 2 lads were coming up and I was looking behind and there was no one behind. I thought, nearly at our kids' pub. And as I'm looking behind like that, they've just gone, fuck off. Plain clothes, weren't they? Oh. And by this time, this fat copper had caught up and he went, fucking hell, Wardy. What are you doing, lad? He said, I fucking loved you when you played for Everton. He said, you're in big trouble. And I went, oh, you know, so it took me back to the car and that was it really, you know. It was, you know, into the cells and I was in Walton on the Saturday. But, you know, I've come out of it a better person, to be honest, you know what I mean? But, yeah, it was tough at times, but I think once I knew my sentence and you know exactly what you're going to do. Yeah, because there was because I was involved in a big firm and the thing was, the police knew on the day of sentencing that the drugs weren't mine. But they knew, but they couldn't disclose in court about the operation because it had blown it wide open. So, you know what I mean? Because it was still ongoing. Yeah, so I had to take it on the chin. For, you know, at the end of the day, I had to do that.
What would happen if you did grass them up? Would you have gotten away?
God forbid, I don't know what would have happened, mate. I wasn't going to take that chance because...
But you'd have been not guilty. Yeah. You're not guilty, sorry. But your sentence would have been...
Yeah, it would have been less, yeah. And... usually
a longer sentence of looking over your shoulder.
That's it, yeah. So
life sentence.
Yeah, you know, there's lads in there that had the same sort of, you know, crime that I committed, and they got a lot less. But then you look at them and you think, well, why is that like? You know what I mean? So I've helped out with the inquiries, as they say. So I wasn't prepared to do that, and that I was brought up that way, you know, not to be a grass.
Yeah. One of the lads. Lee Bignell message saying he won the league.
Yeah.
The footy league.
Yeah, like I got to Kirkham and obviously they got their own team there and they win the league every year because they play every game at home, which is, I think...
People not don't win them, don't beat them.
You know what? It was like the World Cup final, the team I played, the game I played in, and there's 2 games left. Because don't forget, in Kirkham, prisoners are coming and going because it's like the last prison before they get out, isn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's the open prison. And the Scousers run that prison because it's full of Scousers. And I said, like, there's a Bolton lad, Lee Bonney, he played in goal, and a Scottish lad played at centre half. And no one was going to not to tell him to play because he'd slit a few people's throats. But he took it dead seriously. And the last game...
Is that what he were in for?
That's what he made. Well, you have your murderers in there, don't you, and everything, because they've got to prove a lot of them work out, and they've got to go into the public domain and go back to the prison.
Back to society.
You know, that's right. Yeah. So, but the game itself, I played up front, and it was like the World Cup final for some of them, and the Screw was refereeing it, and some of the banter was unbelievable. I just didn't enjoy it, but. I only played one game and I got me medal in that, like, so.
You still got it?
Yeah. So, but the lads, when I wrote the book, I put the team, you know, collectively, in the book, and kept in touch with a couple of them and gave them the book. But, you know, when I got out, I was out, you know, my book, I'd more or less sent everything out, and Tony McDonald, the publisher, he'd got everything sorted out, and within 2 weeks I was signing my book in London, and I couldn't believe how many. It was in the city, and there was Man City supporters there, West Ham, Everton, and Birmingham City, all dressed in
Bit
the
of a pinch
suits.
yourself moment, that wasn't it? Like
Yeah, it was,
starting
yeah.
Waterstones
Yeah.
after.
And you know
Oh,
what? I
4
thought
years.
to myself, it was hard work, the book, especially when I was in the open prison because I was out working, and I'd done so much work on it. And then one of the lads said, "Can't give up on it now. Just finish it off," because it was still ongoing, you know. And obviously, when I was in London, I said to you before, I had like a couple of interviews with all the tabloids, and the best one was with Jim White from the Telegraph. He's the renowned great sports writer, and I sat with him, and we had a beer, and he said, "Mark," he said, I'm doing a balanced piece. I've researched everything, and he said, "I hope you don't mind." He said, "But I've researched over the past 30, 40 years, all the footballers that have been in prison, and I've picked my best ever footballers, prison 11.
Convict 11.
He said, "And I've got to tell you, son, you're in it." And straight away, it's like it's not something to be proud of, is it? You know what I mean? And I thought, "Oof, get in there." Because I didn't realise how many footballers have been in prison. And, you know, it's just, it's amazing, really. So he said, "And on the article, I'm going to put it at the bottom. Do you mind if it?" And I said, "No." I said, "I think that would be, it'd be good." Like, so when I read it, I thought, that is a team, that. You know what I mean? It's a very, very good team.
Could you play any other sports in there? Out of curiosity.
No, I just concentrated on my fitness. You know what I mean? It was like only that tennis, and that was a great game. That I loved playing that. It was fantastic.
Like softball.
Softball, little rackets, but it was dead quick.
Were you any good?
Yeah, I was the best, mate. Yeah,
The best.
fucking loved it. Yeah, yeah. Got a story about like I didn't play it at Walton. When I went to Rochdale, I played it for the first time. And there was this Davy Hill, little red-nosed twat, fucking been in for years, and I seen him playing. So he said, "Do you want a game, Mark?" And I played him, and he smacked me fucking ass. And I went back to my cell, and I thought, "Oh, did that little bastard fucking beat me?" Because I was fit as any, you know what I mean? And it was just all down to technique. So I grabbed him the next day, said, "Come on, fucking play it again." And he beat me. It was a bit closer. It's the third time I played him, fucking battered him. And I never looked back then. I just beat all I won the competition at Christmas and everything else. I was that good. He used to say to me, my cellmate, Paul McGrath, it was the first to 21. I said, "I'll give you 18-0. And he'd go, "Fuck off."
Still
Fuck off. I don't want 18. Give me 10-point start.
Don't take the piss out.
I said, "I'll play with my Andy." And he went, "Oh, fuck off." But there was a screw there. He'd been there for 12 years, Mark Hilditch, ex-footballer, played for Tranmere and Bolton in the 70s, I think. And I just said to him, he wasn't very well liked, and I said, I just went up to him and said, "I'm going to beat you before I leave this prison." And he said, "No chance."
But were you good at it?
Yeah, he was brilliant. And so it just a week before I was set to leave to go to Kirkham, I played him and I thought, "Come on, Mark, this is your last chance." I was getting closer. And I beat him 3-2, and loads of the lads were watching. And there was a Bolton lad there called Benny, and he was just off court, and as I got off, he went, "Well done, Warder." He said, "My fucking fat mate, he's a fat bastard." He said, "But he's waiting to play you in Kirkham." I said, "Benny, no fat bastard will beat me, mate." Because I was fitter in the prison than I was when I was as a footballer. And I didn't think nothing of it. Anyway, a week later, I'm getting shown around all the gym and everything in Kirkham, the open prison, and I sent someone following me around, so I turned around, there's this big lump behind me. And it's all right, Warder, I believe you play a bit of tennis. And I said to him, "Oh, you must be the fat bastard." He went, "How fucking fat bastard, man? You little bastard. I'll fucking kill you in a minute." And everyone was listening. I thought, "Oh, Mark, you've done it again. Put your foot in it." He said, "I'll fucking play you here tomorrow. Meet me here at 5 o'clock. I'll play you after work." So obviously I had to turn up, and there was loads watching, and he fucking smacked my ass. I never got a set off him. And me and Lee become good mates. He was the goalkeeper in the prison team. But he taught me a lesson.
Did you ever have any scrapes in prison? Fight-wise or all like that?
What happens, John, is, I remember being with Richie Harrison, and I was in Walton, and Richie come in, and there was 50 kilos of cocaine found in his car on the front of his drive. And obviously, he was looking at a big sentence, and they put him in with me. He was only a young lad, and you know, I knew his father, and, you know, I just put that aside to me, my feelings for him, and because he's just a number, and he was found with that, and I knew he was going to do a big sentence. And I'm in the exercise yard. You just walk around for a bit of fresh air, and next minute I see him fighting with this other inmate, and the kids biting him and everything. And I thought could not see him. You know what I mean? It was a vicious attack. So I jumped into, you know, before the screws could get there, and tried to split them up. Helped him a little bit, because obviously, anyway, that's one thing that you're not supposed to do, you know, just not get involved. But I had to, because he was my cellmate. And then I was up in front of the governor, and I didn't get any reprimand over it, because the screw said, you know, without my intervention, he could have been, you know, he was hurt anyway, but it'd have been worse, you know what I mean? So, but as regards other things, I got a few threats, but, you know, you just take them with a pinch of salt.
So the general rule is that if you're walking round and there's a big massive brawl, you just carry on walking past and let him crack on.
Yeah, you don't get involved, yeah. And it was the only reason because he was my cellmate, you know.
Yeah.
And you do get a bit of a bond.
Did you? I mean, we'll move on to your football career soon, but in them first few days, do you go into survival mode?
Yeah, definitely. And I was going to mention it before, like Alvin. I was still close to the West Ham lads, still am to this day. It was in '86, we had a fantastic team and nearly won the big one, you know. But Alvin, when I come out, he said, you know what, we're all, you know, gutted, and we couldn't believe it. He said, but if there's one person that can do it, who can do the time, he said, it's that little bastard. And I think, I did say to him, I said, you know what, Alvin? I said, I think a lot of people, there's a lot of suicides, in especially in Walton. I think there was like 6 in the space of 6 months. Because when that door slams, it's a difficult place to be if you're not strong-minded. And I always think, and you have been footballers, that the dressing room is just male, innit? Right, so, and you're on top of each other, and the banter, and it can be cruel, can't it? It can be very cruel. And a bit personal as well. And throughout your football career, I've always got on with most, all the players, really, you know, not really. And I think being a footballer helped me in a way. I really do, because being a footballer, you're competitive, and you're in that sort of cocoon with all the other players. And when I went to prison, you think it would be a vast place, but it's not. It's very, very small. You know what I mean? And like the landings are, and everyone's, you know, congregated together, and some people can't hack it, you know. And there is banter thrown out, and, you know, that's how you can get involved, really, you know. But
you think
it was
you were
difficult.
Better prepared than
I think so.
someone from a non-football background, just because
I do.
That banter, kind of
I do, yeah.
alpha environment that you've been in all your life.
Without a doubt, yeah. And that competitiveness, really.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have to be sharp, and like, because people will take their eyes out the back of your head. And listen, if you go into prison and you want to be the hard case, and the one that's not going to, you just get sorted out straight away. But I just wanted to be the person I was on the outside, because I know I'm a decent lad, and I'd rather help people, you know what I mean, and, you know, go around and make music for myself, because you just get your ass smacked.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right, and saying you got released initially from Everton being too small.
Exactly, I'm still too small. Yeah, I was at Everton. I was 12 years old, and then signed a schoolboy and an apprentice, and they weren't too sure of me. We went away to Groningen under 19 tournament. I was 17, and I think I took Graham Sharp, the great Graham Sharp. I took his place. Sharp, who was on Scotland youth international duty, and I think they just took me there. And there was AC Milan, Ipswich. The 2 English sides were us in Ipswich, Everton, Ipswich, AC Milan. I think it was Saint Etienne, and a couple of German teams, and we actually won the tournament. And I won the player of the tournament. And I think they had to sign me then as a pro, you know, when you think I was only 17, and Ronald Koeman played in that. He played for Groningen at the time, and Steve McMahon was in my team. Had a great career. Kevin Richardson, Gary Stevens. So it was a really good Everton side that we had, and you know, obviously I got the winner in the final, and you know, if you played at the tournament, they got to sign you. But they only gave me a year. But it was Gordon Lee, the manager, and he just said, we can't see you ever being strong enough or quick enough to play at the top level. So,
at the time, did you agree with him, or did you?
You know what, Chris? I was absolutely devastated because I had all the, the touch, but I was, I think I weighed about 9.5 stone. I was tiny, and didn't carry any weight. So, at the time, I wasn't strong enough or quick enough. But I think what I did do, I kept my hand in by going to Northwich, Victoria, and really, I still got mates from that team all them years ago when the telegram come to the house, because I was one of 7 and we had fuck all, but we never even had a phone, and the telegram come to the house and I opened it up, it was in my name. And I went, Dad, look, I've got a trial for Norwich. And he went, fucking read it properly, it says Northwich. I went, fucking Northwich, where's that? I didn't know where it was. I'd never heard of Northwich. It's only down the road, isn't it? Anyway, it's funny this. My mate Tony Mayer, well, he's my mate to this day. He played for Northwich and he said, go knock on, Tony Mayer, if he plays for us, he'll bring you for the trial. So I knocked on his door and I had the telegram. And he was typical Scouse. He'd come to the door, he had a big fucking woolly head, right? He'd come in his white fronts. He had ties on him like that. And he just wasn't toned, you know what I mean? Just like fucking fat bastard, really.
Look, a little bit like myself.
So I go back home and my dad goes, what was you like, son? I said, Dad, fucking hell, he's fat as a bear. I said, I can't see him being able to run. He said, listen, son, just go and enjoy it, because no one had sorted anything out for me. Tony goes into his Mrs. Ros and she says, who was that? I said, the fucking school kids come to the... I was 18, but I looked a lot younger. He said, our fucking school kids come here for the trial to Northwich on Saturday. He's got no fucking chance. He's only that big. So I got on his Ilman imp and we drove to Northwich and I fucking never stopped laughing. Tony worked in Ford's, the Ford factory in Speak. And I thought, so I'm getting changed in the dressing room. And you got your bricklayers, your joiners, your insurance brokers and things like that. And I'm just, because I've been at Everton for them few years, I'm thinking, I'm just enjoying the banter, and I'm on the bench. And there was a Scottish manager who just took over, Lammy Robertson. And then they're getting beat, they're playing Bolton pre-season. And he throws me on for the last 20 minutes. And I just took the piss. And as I'm going off, Tony grabbed hold of me, he said, fucking don't sign for us, son, you're too good. But I was on the dole, £20 a week, and this manager went, come here. So he took me to the office and he went, my dad said to me, whatever you do, don't sign a contract and nothing like that. So I went in, he went, we'll give you 60 quid a week. He said, if you sign now. And I signed, and it's the best thing he ever did, because it kept me in football. And I played at Wembley that season in the trophy final, and great bunch of lads. And I've always said this, them 2 years at Northwich made me a player, because I was playing against men.
Yeah.
The next youngest in the team was 28, and I was the baby.
Did you bulk up? Did you bulk up in that time?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, yeah. And what happened was they didn't have a good start to the season, and they sacked him. And Johnny King, the old Tranmere manager, he took over. And this was funny. I got injured just as he took over, and my ankle was better. And I always struggled to get to training because I didn't have a car. And the training was at the Guinness factory at the other side of Runcorn or at Northwich, Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And if Tony was working nights, I couldn't get there. So it was Altrincham, we were playing Altrincham away, and it was 0-0 game. And I went up to him and said, Johnny, I said, I'm your best player. I said, and you got me on the bench. He said, yeah, you can play a bit, son. He said, but you can't even get to fucking training. So how can I fucking play you? I thought, he had a point, didn't he? So anyway, the next training session was on the Tuesday. And I thought, fuck it, I'll show him. I'll fucking run there. Because Tony was on nights. Anyway, I thought, give myself 2 hours. Right. Didn't even know how far it was. Anyway, I started running, got over Runcorn Bridge, fucking hell. And I get to the training ground. We used to train on the shale. Anyway, open the door, I'm fucking sweating. And he goes, all right, son, how'd you get here? I said, I fucking ran here. He went, you what? I said, I've ran here. I said, you better fucking play me on Saturday. Anyway, he played me on Saturday. One of the lads drove me home. It was 14.5 miles to work that out. So Graham Abel dropped me back off because obviously I was knackered. And he said, we played AP Leamington in the FA Cup away, and he put me up front and I scored at Atsy. And I never looked back then. He said, you are a player, son. He said, now look after you. And what you're saying about the bulking, because Johnny was he was a good player himself, but he was only small and like old-fashioned things. He'd keep me behind and he'd throw a medicine ball at me and, where you throw it back and all that. It'd probably be frowned upon now, but I got a lot quicker. That's sort of, my strength, got my strength. And I become very quick. I was lucky, really. I think that little bit of bulk put on.
Yeah.
Because without that pace, you need that pace at the top level to be able to get away from players,
Were you working at the same time as playing?
I wasn't. And then Robert's Bakery sponsored the team. And it was like struggling for, even 60 quid a week wasn't a lot. Like, and I was threatening to go, and then they made a job for me in the bakery. All the trays that the bread used to go in. Well, people were never giving them back, using them as fences and all that one different things. So they had to. I was like the quantity surveyor of like the bread. But I was always in the cafe with the because it was in Northwich, the bakery. So I was like a little bit of a celebrity. You know what I mean? Oh, Wardy. I was always eating the cream cakes and everything.
No wonder you bulked up.
Yeah. But I look back on Northwich as a great time for me, and I'd always remember there were a couple of clubs. We had a good FA Cup run, and I was getting quicker, and Johnny was putting me up front because I could finish as well. And we played Chester in the FA Cup at Northwich. We drew, so it was the replay, and it was the only game on that night. And it should never have been played. The mud, it was unbelievable. But he said, if we're going to beat these, we'll beat them on this pitch. And I just skipped across the mud and scored 2. And it was in the back of the paper the next day. And then he said to me, you'll be gone soon, son. And a couple of clubs were sniffing. And when Joe Royal rang me up, I just thought, well, be a great club to go to.
So where were Oldham?
Oldham were in the old second division.
Right.
Yeah, so Joe had a good couple of seasons there, and I met him in Liverpool in a boozer, and it was about 6 o'clock, and we thought it was dead quiet. He said, somewhere quiet, so no one recognised him because he's the Everton legend.
Yeah.
Anyway, he went, Mark, he said, I've seen you so many times. He said, if you make one appearance, he said, I think the fee was $9,500. He said, all I want you to do is when you come, get your head down, and if you make one appearance, it's vindicated that money. He said, the chairman doesn't want to spend this money. He said, all I can offer is £130 a week. But I'd got the job in the bakery, and with me other money, I had to take about £70 a week drop in wages. Yeah. So it was big. I said, take it or leave it. I went,
all right at the bakery?
Oh, loads of dough in it, mate. Yeah, loads of dough. So I said to he always talked, when Joe talked to me, I said, that first time we met, I turned around and said, yeah, I'll be your best player. And he laughed. He said, just one appearance, one from you. Anyway, I trained on the Tuesday, and they're playing Brighton at home on the Saturday. And I took the piss in training, and then we done a behind closed doors game, and they had like the probables against the possibles and all that. Like, and I'd done really well. And I remember saying to my dad, Dad, if he doesn't play me on Saturday, I said, there's something wrong. I said, no one can get near me. He said, Mark, you've been there 5 minutes. Fucking hell, son, I know your confidence. I said, but Dad, no, I'm telling you. And I trained on this Friday, and Joe said, Mark, come here. He said, listen, son, I've got something to tell you. He said, you're making your league debut tomorrow. And I went, I should fucking think so as well. Chris, you know what? He laughed just like this, and he tapped me on the head. He went, I just love your confidence, son. He said, all the best. I want you to do so well. And it's like, that game, everyone remembers the league debut, and I remember it was the last minute, and the left back overlapped. The full back, overlapped the winger, and he crossed the ball to the far post, and I'm running in. And the only way I could get it, right, is to dive for it. So I thought, just keep your eye on the ball, and the keeper shitted a bit, Peter Mosley, I think his name was. As it comes, so it's dropped, and he could have come out and fucking punched it, but he's seen me. I'm horizontal, like a torpedo. It's gone, fuck off, right in the top corner. Fucking right in the top, an header. And I remember I was coming off the pitch, Joe just picked me up like that, and he went, fucking hell. And then I never missed a game for them in 2 years, you know what I mean? So
was he good with you then from then on, Royal?
Yeah, Joe was great from the day one. Like the first, he said, listen, see how we go, and then you straight in for the rise, because I was on buttons. And Martin Buchan, the great Martin Buchan, he made his debut with me, so all the emphasis was on him, leaving Man United, the great captain. Yeah. And I scored, and I got man of the match the first 4 games. And I didn't find it easy, but I just, my fitness levels. He said he thought I'd fail because of my fitness levels, and that's what I could compete with. You know what I mean? My fitness levels are so good, and he always says like the best £9,500 he'll ever spend, and within 2 years I was gone for $250,000. So,
Jesus, best £9,500 chairman ever spent.
No, Joe spent. Joe spent, and he didn't want to. And then when I had to have a meeting with Ian Stott, he said, "I've offered you 250." I said, "Tell him to stick it up his ass." So we went, because Martin Buchan had told me what I should be getting. He said, "Mark, you've got to look for 400 quid. That's what, you know what I mean?" So anyway, he wasn't moving. I said to Joe, "I want a meeting with the chairman." He said, "It doesn't work like that." I said, "It fucking does this time." I said, "Because I tell you now," he said, "Oh, you're a nightmare." I said, "Fuck it." So I sat with him and he went, like that, this piece of paper. "You've had a good start, son. Don't get carried away." Like that. I said, "A good start? I'm your fucking best player." I said, "You got me for £9,500. What would you sell me for now? And if I don't get £400, I said, you can rip my contract up. I'll go and play with my mates on the park on a Sunday." I said, that's the ultimatum. So I stood up, I just walked out. And when I went home, I thought,
and you're what year?
What the fuck have I done?
21?
20-year-old?
22?
I was 21, yeah. And like, just had the baby, Melissa. I told me missus and she went, "You're a fucking dickhead, lad. What are you going to do?" No job anyway. Joe rang me about 9:30 that night. He went, "You're okay, son?" I went, "Yes, Gafford, I'm fine." He said, "I don't know what you said to that chairman, but you got your fucking money." He said, "And you deserve it." And I think what it was with me, there was no agents then, was there?
Yeah.
And because of my disappointment at Everton and all that, and I thought, I just knew what I valued myself for the first time. Because it's hard to put a value on yourself, isn't it? And then once I went to, obviously West Ham for $250,000, that was out the blue, I thought, this is the big time now, the first division, you know what I mean? Because I was looking forward to my third season. And then just before the season started, he rings me, Joe, again, and said, this was funny, because he rings me and he goes, "Mark," he sat down someone and went, "Oi, Gafford," he said, "because John Lyle, the West Ham manager, will be at your house within the hour. He's coming to pick you up. You're going to make your debut for West Ham. On Saturday, the club have agreed £250,000 for you to go and sign for them." I said, "Yeah, tell that to the fucking chairman. He didn't want to sign me for £9,500, did he?" He said, "You won't forget about that, will you?" I went, "Fucking no, I won't." He said, "He wants to sell me now, doesn't he?" And within the hour, John was there. And, first impressions mean a lot to me. And I just bought my first house, little 2 up and 2 down in Liverpool. Fucking hell, a little back courtyard and all that. Anyway, John fucking comes down. The road was tiny in this big Jag. I opened the door and he goes, "Mark, John Lyle, this is Eddie Bailey, my chief scout." I said, "Come in, John." And my ex-missus was crying her fucking eyes out. She didn't want to leave Liverpool. She's leaving the mar and all that, like fucking no scouse birds are like. And so he went, "Go and put the kettle on." Straight away, just took command of the situation. And then I'm making the tea and I could hear her laughing, and he said, "Right, come on, pack." And
what
was it?
Go on, pack.
Yeah, just go and pack some clothes, you're going. And I never come back to Liverpool for 6 months. So that was it, because I played on the Saturday. Made my debut. Stayed in Epping in a hotel for a few months. It was out the blue sign of a West Ham, but like Joe said to me, he said, "Listen, you're going to enhance your career here because they play the game the right way." He said, "You become a better player." And I couldn't envisage the season that we had, because we finished third and nearly won it, really.
Did you take the confidence you had, when you were saying that, you're telling the chairman you're the best player of all of them? Did you maintain that confidence going into West Ham?
That's a great question, because it's the first time in my life that I felt out of my depth, because McAvenny signed on the same day from St Mirren. So we were the only 2 signings that season, and no one really heard about us. We weren't like... John was very good in the transfer market, kept it dead low key, where now everybody knows who's going where, don't they? He just knocked on my door, next minute I've signed. So I always remember my first training session, and I swear to God, I just thought, fucking hell. The ball was just going ping. 2 centre-halves, Alvin Martin, Tony Gale, they could play like centre midfield players. They were getting the ball. They weren't your typical centre-halves. They were proper, the finesse on them. I never got a kick. And I thought, like, in the past I've thought, I'll be your best player. And I thought, straight away, I knew I wasn't the best player here, because it was just unbelievable. It was just like mind-blowing. And I thought, I made my debut on the Saturday against Birmingham. We got beat 2-1. Didn't have a very good game, and I thought, he's going to drop me for the Tuesday night game at home against QPR. And he just took me to one side. He said, listen, you've done a couple of good things. The whole team didn't play very well. He said, my faith's in you. And I think little things like that mattered. And I went out, and Upton Park was a special place to go and play, especially of an evening. The crowd, they're right on top of you. It's just like an amazing experience, especially the chicken run. Right? And you can hear, like, you didn't even have you couldn't even step back to take the corner that close. I had a great game, and I think I crossed 2 for the 2 goals, and I never looked back after that. Just you know what I mean?
Did you feel, as that game went well, like you said about the chicken one, could you feel the fans getting on your side?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. And, you know, to this day, remember Alvin, you take a lot from, you know, your captain and people that speak to you, and Alvin said, Mark, I'll give you some information, he said, and some advice. These fans, he said, they're like most fans. He said, but you don't suffer fools. He said, they're that close to you. I'm telling you now, they know if you fucking... I was never one to bottle at anybody tackles-wise. He said, but they'll make or break you. And he's right, because I've seen him break a lot of the players. And all they wanted when you put that Clanton blue shirt on is to give it 100%.
That's all you can ask for, innit?
That's it. And it's like that in every club. And they'll be happy. If you get beat, they'll be happy with that.
Yeah.
But when you're not giving your all, they'll suss you out straight away. And I had some battles there with all them left backs in the 80s. Stuart Pearce, Van der Nauw. They're all called Psycho, weren't they? You had Mark Dennis Psycho, Van der Nauw Psycho, Stuart Pearce Psycho. There's another one. Yeah, so you have to become a bit of a psycho yourself to play against them all. You're like, you know, I seen Stuart last year just before the COVID, and when I was in the Nick, this kid come up to me and said, Bodie, have you seen, and like the title of Stuart Pearce's book, Psycho, isn't it? So he said, have you seen what Psycho's put about you in his book? And I thought, oh, horrible little twat or something, you know what I mean? And the paragraph goes, I was always asked throughout my career who's my most difficult opponents. It was a little scouser called Mark Ward. I had more bad games against him than anybody. So when I was in the media room at the new stadium, he's clocked me, hasn't he? And he's come over and he went, put his hand out, he said, you're my fucking nemesis. He said, I could never get the better of you. And we just started talking. I said, I fucking hated playing against you as well. I said, because he used to kick lumps out of you, like, you know what I mean? It was always a battle.
It's big that though, isn't it, for him to say that?
Yeah.
Fair play.
But it's like this, because sometimes you get I think with me, if I was a better player if someone was aggressive towards me. I don't know why. It's just like I had that sort of like mentality, you know. The first time I played against him, he done me, didn't he? And I had me just where the tongue on the boot is. It split the tongue and it had gone through, but it was very deep. So when I took my boot off, it was full of blood, and I thought, he's fucking getting this in the second half. I'm just waiting for him. You know, I was good at like the centre halves knocking the ball to the fullback, getting him on his, because I was very quick. And I was ready to go, and he's just pulled it out and opened his leg up, you know, to knock it down the line, and I've come, and I've fucking up right off my feet. I swear to God, he must have thought, where's this little cunt? So, and I've hit him right, but I swear to God, I've hit him that hard. I nearly shit myself. It hurt me, the tackle hurt me. And like, we both got up, and he just didn't lie down, he got up, and he just looked at me, and I looked at him, and I got booked and all that, like, and after, because he'd been booked and I'd been booked, and we beat them 3-1 in the night, and they just kept on giving me the ball and kept on attacking him, and Cotty scored 2 great goals to the far post. One that he says is his best ever goal, like a scissor kick to the far post to pick them out, and it was I was made up because on the Sunday Brian Clough said, take Ward to the World Cup, he's just destroyed the best left back in the world. But it was never, I never got an England cap, but maybe I was a bit too naughty, I don't know, a bit too aggressive. But Trevor Steven was a great right-sided player at the time, you know.
Yeah.
Was he the one that took you under his wing, Martin?
Yeah, Alvin, yeah. We used to, because he's a scouser and he's the captain, and, you know, he even says when I come to the training ground, John pulled him in off the field, and I'm in John's office. He said, when I walked in, he was sweating like a great player he was, and he goes, Alvin, this is Mark, our new signing, because even out the players didn't even know. And he said, I looked down here and I thought, fucking hell, he's only about fucking 12. He went, all the best and all that, like, and you know, because we're in the hotel for months. Me and my missus would go to Alvin's for steak Diane and, you know, and all that, and he looked after us, and
Was Ian older pro? The age difference?
Oh, Alvin's about 5 years older than me.
Oh, so not that much,
Yeah,
then.
yeah. But I think you need that, especially when you're
moving away from home.
My missus, she was fucking proper Mr. Mum and all the family, and she was just like that. And I was playing really well, and I had to go into John and say, John, I said, I've got a problem. He went, what's that, son? I said, Jane wants to go home. He went, right, I'll be at your house tonight at 6 o'clock. I thought, oh, fuck. So I drove home, picked Melissa up, and I went into the house, and I went, you fucking cow. I said, we decided to come down here. I said, and you got me manager coming round at 6 o'clock to speak to you. I said, I'm embarrassed and all that. Anyway, knocked on the door at 6, come in, put the kettle on to me, went straight in, and she fucking started crying. He went, you can turn them taps off, love. He said, he's going nowhere. He said, I took a big gamble, paid £250,000 for him. Probably cost me treble that. He said, what's wrong with you? And she just went, oh, just started crying. And he went, and this was me, dickhead. She just went, right, I'll give you another £100 a week to me if you sign another year on your contract. And I just went like that the next day, and just fucking, and it was another £100 there, and she was fucking happy then. You know what I mean? Another pair of shoes then, wasn't it?
And that, not need to say figures, but how big will the wage rise from Oldham to West Ham?
You know what? I can't remember to this day. I think it doubled. So I went up to about 700, 800 quid. But it's all in, what's the word? It's like the house that we bought in Liverpool was like 22 grand. And the house that we bought in London was 80 grand.
Yeah.
It was like so, the mortgage was bigger and things like that.
But all your expenses are doubling as well.
Yeah, but I never thought about money. I never thought about anything about the house. I just wanted to go and play football. Yeah. And I should have really, been a bit more savvy in that aspect. Because she was just buying fucking clothes. She was the original wag, eh? Fucking hell. They were on about these wags. She said, fucking I had one in the 80s. She had boxes of shoes past the wardrobe and everything. She said to me one day, just like boutique in the village. Anyway, she come out, she had leather jackets with all these tassels down like that. She went, what do you think of this? It's a one-off, And I went, yeah. And I never used to ask about anything. I said, a one-off. She said, yeah, no one else has got one of these. I said, how much was it? She went, 900 quid. I went, fucking what? 900 quid? I wasn't even on that, you know what I mean? So she didn't last fucking long.
There's the reason it's a one-off, because nobody else will fucking buy it.
Exactly.
Were you thick as thieves with McAvenny from
yeah, me and Frank were, I was with him a couple of weeks ago when I was up in Glasgow watching the game. But I think what it was, I don't think it's because he was from Glasgow and I was from Liverpool, but we roomed together because we just signed together, and Frank was a fucking hell. That's the stories I've got. I think we were playing Preston away in the cup. I'm sure it was Preston. And Frank's got this notion that every woman fancies him. So
I know one of them. There's one of them in our fucking organisation.
But it's like, I had got a picture of him at St Mirren, and he had the fucking gingerest, reddest hair in the world. So when he goes, wee man, put that away. Because when he come down, he got his hair blonde, he got all his teeth sorted out. So anyway, we're still rooming together, and this is the God's honest truth. So, the team's all, on the Friday, they're all eating together. And the girl that's serving, she's always like the name tag. And they go, I just wanted to get to bed and get my head down. He said, wee man, just hang on, let all lads fuck off to bed. He said, I pulled her hair. I went, fuck off. Frank, she's not interested. I've heard what she said. A fella's picking her up from the hotel. I said, she doesn't want to know. He went, well, you can only try, can't you, wee man? I went, fuck off, come on, let's go to bed. So we go to bed. It's had a 3-course meal, and he's ringing down for sandwiches, hoping that she comes up. We can give her a fucking... I'm going, fuck off. So I went... And we used to, when we played away, it wasn't a sleeping tablet, but the physio would give us a relaxing, to fucking, I used to struggle sometimes to sleep. Anyway, I fucking took that, fucking turned over, left him. Now in the morning, my pre-match thing was to get up, have a brekkie, go back to bed, and not have a pre-match then. You know what I mean? So the lads would have the pre-match meal, wouldn't they? So, anyway, I'm facing the wall, and I turn over and I look across like that. Next minute, I see I'm trying to looking at, and I'm seeing 2 heads. But it was the girl that was serving the fucking dinners, right? But Frank was at the back of it, and she was at the front. So as I looked down, I could see a pair of tits in her fanny. She was like that. So I thought, fucking hell, what's going on here? So I went, Frank. And he just put his body up over her like that and went, what are you mad? And she pulled all the covers over it. This is a God's honest truth like that. I went, Frank, you better fucking get shut of here. Because if Mick McGivern comes around, she's found an ear, we're fucked. I said, I got up, put my fucking gear on. I said, I'm going down for me breakfast. I said, get rid of her. He went, I'm having me breakfast in bed. And I swear to God, he scored 2 that day. I'm having me breakfast in bed.
So once you've got to sleep, he's obviously gone back down.
Oh, don't know how he's done it, mate. Johnny was just like, he was unbelievable.
That's opportunist, isn't it? Ringing down for sandwiches in
Yeah.
in
In
hope.
hope. In hope, yeah.
In hope, yeah. But that's Frank for you. Settle down now a bit. Mind you, he's nearly 60.
We got a message actually. Did you shit in a bin or something?
Oh, fuck, not shit in the bed, no. That was this is we used to go away to pre-season to Sweden a lot, and Finland and all that. That was John's way. And it was boring as well. It was a lot of travelling. Anyway, you know what the lads are like. They'll take, the banter and things like that. And right opposite our room, Alvin room with Tony Gale. And well into I think we were all out there for 3 weeks, and everyone's bored, getting on each other's nerves. And so we get back after training, the second session, and we go into our room, because we had the whole landing, all the doors were open. Oh, you're in Sweden, that's going to happen. It's not as if it's in fucking Liverpool, is it? So we get and we thought someone's trashed our room, toothpaste everywhere, shaving foam, like fucking big kids, toilet roll everywhere and all that. And I knew it was Gailey and Alvin. So I went, it took us fucking ages to get it all. So I went, listen, I'll get them back tomorrow. Frank said, what are you going to do, wee man? I said, you just hang on in the morning. I said, I'll think of something. So in the morning, I said, don't have a number 2, Frank. He went, what are you on about, you wee prick? I said, don't have a number 2. I let them fuck off first downstairs. Anyway, I went, come on, we're going down. So I ran into their room, and underneath the desk was a little paper basket. So I went, put loads of toilet roll in the bottom of the basket. I just got over it. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm having a shit in here. He went, you horrible little... So I went, and you are as well. He went, I'm not. I said, you fucking are. So I went, and I scrolls a nuggets out. And like that. Next, he went, Frank, he said, I can't believe I'm doing this. I said, you know what they done to our room yesterday? Fucking have a shit, will you? So he said, so I put all the toilet roll on the top, back on the top, put it under the fucking desk. Right. We went training. First session, so Frank's going, Alvin's going to fucking kill you. I said, but I'm not bothered. Let's see what happens. So I'm passing the ball to Frank, and he's giving me a ball. I said, that's a shit pass, that, Frank. Just all innuendos like this. Anyway, I was dead brave. We went training, finished. I thought, fucking hell, I better get up there and get in that fucking room. So I said, come on, Frank, let's get into the room. So got into the room, and I'm on my bed, and then I could hear them coming in. So I left the door open, and as they walked in, Alvin shouts to Gailey, Gailey, have you farted? Have you farted? It fucking stinks in here. And the Gailey went, no, I fucking haven't. Next thing he goes, you fucking have. It stinks. You smelly bastard. And he went, open the windows. So they've opened the windows like that. The smell must... Because it's in this... I know Sweden, it was in the summer and it was quite warm. And the fucking smell. So he goes... He said, fucking hell, it does stink. This is Gailey. He said, just have a look at that. Just go and have a look at the drains in the toilet, if it's that. So they've gone in there, flushing the toilet. No, it doesn't even smell in here. Fucking hell. So the banter between them, me and Frank are like this, laughing our heads off on that thing. So they haven't even looked in the waste paper basket, the two fucking Richard III's. And I said, I can't stand this anymore. I'm leaving the manager. So he goes... Hello, can I speak to the manager, please? There's a terrible smell in our room. And Frank shitting himself, you better shut that door now before they come up. I said, listen, leave it for a bit. Anyway, big entourage comes up, and they're all in the room, and I go and shut the door. Next minute, they must have found it. Bang, 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 bang on the door. He said, don't ever come out of that fucking room, I'm going to kill you, you little bastard.
Imagine manager finding it. I think we've done the sorting problem, sir.
Two big turds in
That
bin.
was like the excrement of two people there. Can you explain that? I know he was a little, he said, he used to call me a little shit. He said, oh, yeah. Oh, it's some of the things he used to get up to.
Oh, my God. What was Julian Dix like? See,
Julian, wow, what a player, you know. I will say this, he arrived the season after we finished third, and the biggest compliment to him is if he'd have played in that 86 side, we wouldn't have won the league, we'd have pissed it, because he could always chip in with goals. He was creative. I always laugh with him because obviously when he joined the club, he was kicking everyone in training, and because he was a left back and I was a right winger, so when he's done it to me, there's only one thing was going to happen, and it was we started fighting, didn't we? And because he was out of order, you know what I mean? He was like, to me, you don't do that to your teammates, because some of the tackles were like reckless, you know. But so he was just trying to make a mark for himself, and I just, you know, retaliated because I had to. And then, so this is the great manager, John. So we get sent in, and then we're in his office, and we're stood there. John,
You've had a ban, you've had a scrap.
Yeah. So he goes, I've got a problem here. And this is why I always think managers are either great or, you know, just mediocre, but he could sort any situation out. And he went, two of my best players, he said, someone's leg's going to be broken, isn't it? And Julian went, well, it's not, this is Julian. Well, it's not me, is it? I said, well, I never ever went over the top, or, you know what I mean? I just looked at him like that. I said, well, I've solved that problem. From now on, you've got to be in the same team in training. You know what I mean? And I thought, well, I'll settle for that. Like, and as we're going out the room, he said, oh no, come back. So we stood there, he said, and you're rooming together. Learn to love each other, boys. You know, like that. So I thought, oh, fuck it now. And for the first couple of games playing away, it was hard work. He
just had tension, their personality.
Yeah, fucking hell, burnt me with an iron and everything fucking... He's like, no, you're ironing your shirt.
Because he couldn't use it, or...?
No, you're ironing your shirt before the game. So I'm out the shower, he's on the ironing board first, and I've walked past... As I've walked past him like that, I've got the towel like that, he's just gone... before the game, fucking nearly stuck to my ass. Screaming like a baby.
Home Alone.
Laughing his head off, he was.
But you were getting on. Well, was it still frosty?
It was still frosty, like, but fucking hell.
The frosty fraud.
But I was a bit more mellow than him. I got loads of chocolate buttons, right? I put them underneath his sheet, you know, all in the bed, right? And then, so he'd been asleep, you know, in the night, so all the heat and all that. And he fucking woke up and thought he'd shit himself. But yeah, Julian, we learned to, you know, still see him now and learn to love each other in that aspect.
So
but we got on, yeah. I always he played for Liverpool and I was playing for Everton, and he just signed in a derby game, and I knew everything about his game, and Julian was great on the ball. He was hard as nails, but he didn't have much pace. And I always knew, you know, on my day I'd absolutely destroy him. So I was in the tunnel, and the Merseyside derby is like, it's my game, isn't it? And I went up to him and I was just like ruthless. I went, I'm going to fucking destroy you today. And it just signed for Liverpool. And he was always dead confident, and I thought, I've got him.
Got him.
And I scored. You might remember my goal. I scored, and Grobbelaar and McManaman started to fight.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers the fight and not the goal. But Julian was marking me that day, and I remember he hit a shot from 30 yards and never done a great save. It was in like the top corner, but we absolutely, Cotty scored the second, and we mullered them like. But I always say to Julian, listen, I'd love to play against you every week. So great player though.
So what? 5 years at West Ham. Obviously, there was a relegation in there as well.
There was, yeah. The first time I got an agent was that was the very first Dennis Roach, and he was at Glenn Hoddle's agent, and there was, and I wanted to leave because I told him that, and he wanted to keep me, and I was out the team, and he asked me to go up to Villa. I wasn't even on the team bus, so I drove up there with my missus, and he didn't put me on the bench, and I said, if I get up there, I said, you got to promise me that you put me on the transfer list. And he said it, and got up there, and he just got me outside, and talked to me like a piece of shit and didn't even put me on the bench. And I went to the PFA.
So have you had heated arguments?
Yeah, all the time, yeah. All the players did. No, he was just, he couldn't. When you're that sort of person, and there's so many players that didn't want him there, you know what I mean? So he didn't have a leg to stand on. And he wasn't getting the results either. But Mick Maguire, who had played with at Oldham, remember Mick Maguire, he doesn't work for the PFA anymore, but I was quite close to him, so I told him, and he got a meeting up in London, Lancaster Gate, and I was put on the transfer list, but I had to go through loads of loopholes for it to happen. And then what happened was, John Toshak, the great manager at Real Sociedad, he wanted to sign me, and never thought about playing abroad, to be honest, you know. And it was nearly in the you know, it was over Christmas time, and they have a bit of a break. I'm thinking I'm going. Next minute, I get a phone call at 11 o'clock at night, and it was Peter Reid. And he said, I've got someone to talk to you. And he said, he passed the phone, and it was, he said, I always remember it. And, hello, Mark. I said, yeah, speaking. He went, Howard Kendall. He said, don't go to Spain, son, it's shit. He said, I've just come back. Howard had been managing Atletico Bilbao, wasn't he? Yeah. He'd left Everton to go there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, well, that was Howard, and I thought, and like, Howard was one of my dad's heroes, and you know, all for what he won at Everton in the 80s, and I thought, he just took over City, and City were 9 points adrift at the bottom. He said, listen, son, I need a team full of scousers to keep these up. That's what he said. He said, they're dead and buried. He said, they've got some good young lads. He said, but I can't gamble. He said, and Reid, he said, you're the best right-sided player. He said, so come and speak to me tomorrow. So I went up with me missus, and it was the day after Boxing Day. And so the club, Main Road, big place, wasn't it? It was shut, and get into the boardroom, and Reid would be making sarnies. And this was Howard. Straight away he goes, what would you like to drink, love? To Jane. And she went, I'll have a Cointreau, lime and soda. He said, make that two Reedy, haven't tried one of them. That was Howard, you know what I mean? So we sat there for 2 hours, and I thought, I just want to play for this man, because I knew how good he was, and you know what a job he did. I've been to City, they've invited me back, and I get up and I say, listen, you owe a lot to Kendall. I said, because not many managers would have took over even at Christmas 9 points adrift and kept them up. Yeah, he was brilliant. As a coach, he was fantastic.
Did Quinny like a pint back then? Niall Quinn.
Oh, Niall, what a player. You know, it's like, I remember Liam Brady saying to me, I lived in Loughton and Liam lived in Chigwell, and our daughters went to school together, so I'd go round this for the pasta and fucking nice glass of Italian wine, and I really respected him. What a player. But I forgot the question, sorry. Fucking strong beer, that's all. What is it? Sapporo. Fucking 16%. Adam, snitch your beer, you better fucking edit that bit.
Talking pizza, fine, red wine. I forgot the fucking question.
I'm starving. Oh, God.
About Quinny.
Oh, Niall, yeah. I ended up rooming with Quinny. Fucking hell. But I would... why did it... Oh, yeah, it was Liam. Liam played him at Arsenal. So Liam used to say to me, why doesn't John buy fucking Quinny? Because he gets in the team, does really well, and then he's not even in the squad, because Arsenal had a big squad. I used to think, big Niall Quinn, a big, you know, fucking... Just a big target, man. And Howard signed him for 900 grand. So this is how good Howard was. All our training evolved around the big fella. So it was all like little touches and getting his touch. And like, I've never seen a player improve so much in 6 months than Niall Quinn. He was unbelievable. He wasn't the player that he was, and then 6 months later, he was unbelievable. And he speaks highly of Howard. But it's like, as a wide man, you know, he put the ball in the box. Fucking hell.
Phenomenal, wasn't he?
He was unbelievable.
He makes you look better, doesn't he? He's scoring from your crosses.
You don't have to pick him out. You just put it into the area. And I remember, this is a funny story, but Reedy takes over from Howard. Howard goes back to Everton, and I'm absolutely devastated. And, you know, we work on set pieces, and I was on the penalties at the time. And, like, that, Reedy brought himself on for me in a game. He was a sub. And, like, I was unhappy, and I wouldn't shake his hand. It was a famous game because Niall Quinn had scored against Derby, right? And then in the second half, saved the penalty because he had to go in goal. Tony Cope got sent off. So he scored and saved the penalty in the game. And I used to take 5 penalties after training against Quinny because he was a good athlete and he's so big. He went the right way. He'd say, you know, he had a great chance of saving it. So if I scored 5, he owed me a tenner. He had to save 1. And I always remember Dean Saunders got the ball 1-0 up, and I went, "Go on, you Welsh bastard," fucking missing, screaming at him and all that. And I said, "Go on, Quinny, go the right way, lad, he'll save it." And he's buried it in the bottom corner, he's tipped it around the post. So we're down to 10 men, and I'm really shouting, just hold in midfield. And I tried to nick a ball. And he went through, nearly scored, and he's going, jumping up and down. He went, "You little cunt, I'll fucking kill you," and all that. I went, "Fuck off." Like that. The next minute, my number's up. So, and I'm having a great game. So he puts his hand out, and I'll just fucking go right past him. You know the fucking bucket with the water in and the sponge? I go up to him and I go, "Fuck off." And I kicked it that hard, right? The bucket come up my leg. My foot's going right through the bucket. So I've got a right cob on. I couldn't figure it out, yeah. It was the funniest thing. Well, it wasn't at the time. I was raging. So I couldn't get I just had to walk up here with the bucket on my leg. So I get into the tunnel area and the steward's like that. I said, "Get that off me foot, will you?" Fucking pull the bucket off me foot. So jump in, get in the shower, and I'm in the bar, and this kid goes, "The gaffer wants you." I said, "Fuck off, I'll see him on Monday morning." So Monday morning, terrified, going about 10 miles an hour driving into Manchester thinking, fucking hell, because he had the temper reading, I thought. And when I think about it, I was out of order. So straight in his office, and I walk in and I start smiling. He goes, "What are you smiling at?" He said, "I've had to fucking apologise to every cunt around the fucking pitch. You soaked the copper in charge of the stadium." He said, "The water went everywhere." He said, "I'm fining you 2 weeks' wages." And I just sat there like that and grinned. And take that grin off your face, like seeing the headmaster. But Big Sam Ellis, remember Sam?
Yeah.
Big Sam, it was Reedy's sidekick. The sussed it out, he went, "Fucking hell, gaffer, he's been your best player." He said, "You can't do that to him." He said, "I'll have £500 off you and I want it tomorrow. Bring it in tomorrow." He said, "I'll put it in the players' pool." So I just walked out and I never give it him, did I? So he's asking for this 500 quid for fucking weeks and weeks. And I went, "I can't draw it out. I'll have to ask me missus on all that shit like that." So anyway, we played Liverpool and we're 1-0 down. And I'd scored like 8 out of 8 penalties up to now, in off the post. I was like fucking dicing with death, like, but I used to bury them. Anyway, he goes, "We get a penalty." So I put the ball down on the spot. This is at Anfield. So he comes behind me and he's just took over the manager. It's a big result if we win it. And he goes, "Don't fucking miss the target, you little cunts." So we used to talk. I went, "Double or quits on that 500 quid. He went, "Yeah, all right then. Just make sure you score." So I thought, fucking hell. Put the ball down, I thought. So it's £1,000, isn't it? Or nothing. And I thought, fucking hell, what are you doing to yourself here? But I just thought, I'm going to hit this ball as hard as a bit of ball. I hit it. And it didn't go in the corner, but I hit it like that. Next minute, Grobbelaar just went, it just went past his hand that quick. And so I was made up with myself then. And then with a minute to go, they score, and then we get a corner. And I sprint over. The ball boy wouldn't give me the ball, and I fucking grabbed it off him, and I put it down, and I didn't even look. I just swung. I just knew where it was going. And I put it right onto the penalty spot, and Quinny just went, "Fuck off." And I went right in the top corner. We drew 2 each, which was a great result for us at the time because Liverpool were the top dogs, you know.
Save 500
But
quid.
Niall was just a great striker to play with. Unbelievable.
So I bet you were over at Moon when you heard Everton were in.
It was just like a dream come true. I always remember I was in Cork with Man City pre-season, and we'd got a day off, and Reedy gave us a day off, so I was meeting all the lads in the boozer opposite to have me Guinness and a bet on the horses and that. So went over the bridge, got me Guinness. And just about to pick it up, and Big Sam stops me. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm having a pint." He said, "No, you've got to go back to see the gaffer." I said, "Fuck off, Sam." I said, "You're just saying that for me to walk all the way back to the hotel." I said, "And take the piss." He went, little fella, I'm telling you, he's got some news for you. So you'd always think, could be something to do with the family or whatever. And I went, you winding me up, Sam? He said, he didn't say nothing. He just picked me Guinness up and went and necked it in one and put it down. And then I knew he was serious, because me and Sam got on really well. He said, go on, do yourself a favour. So trudged over the bridge, got to Vidi's room, knocked on the door, and he just got out the shower and he went, come in. He went, get on the next plane to Liverpool. You're signing for your dad again, me and Howard. I just went, I fucking started to, like, it was just like, I'd been there since I was a baby, and for them words to come out of his mouth, I nearly broke down, to be honest. And part of the deal was Alan Harper going back to Everton as well. He said, and take your fucking mate with you as well. So we couldn't fly out. There wasn't no flights. So I got on great, especially all the young City lads. David White I still see, and Paul Lake. So we all had a good bevy, and Howard picked us up the next day at Liverpool Airport.
Do you feel like it were a chance to prove as well, like that opportunity?
I think so.
Second coming.
You know what? When I signed for Man City because of Howard Kendall, and then he was only there just under 18 months, and then he said to me, it's the only club he'd have left City for, because he was Everton. Everton's in his DNA. It's like Tony Book. He stood in front of us all and said, Tony Book's Man City and I'm Everton. I didn't expect this. And I was devastated, because I thought, but I just had to get on with it. And then I heard on the grapevine that Howard was going to sign me, but you just don't know, do you?
Yeah.
And he said to me, he said, I'm playing it on the left-hand side. He said, because I've got a world-class player on the right, Robert Waziska, the Polish lad. And I said, I'll play anywhere for Everton. And I remember played my debut, was away against Forest, and Stuart Pearce was marking me. Oh, fucking kicked me fucking up and down Dale again. And I was injured. I finished the game because I didn't want to miss playing on the Tuesday night against Arsenal, the champions. They'd become the champions. Remember, they beat Liverpool, didn't they, the last game of the season. So I thought, if I go in for treatment, I'm going to jeopardise my spot. And I was putting ice on my leg and all that, and I thought, am I being stupid? You know what I mean? I could make my own debut, what I've been waiting for. And this could hinder me and I could play bad. And I thought, I just took the chance, and I was playing the left side. And I always remember, we've got that Z-Cars music, Everton. And it's not the greatest anthem, but when you're an Evertonian, it was like I was in the tunnel. And I remember thinking to myself, like Howard said to me, you're playing against Lee Dixon, don't go down the left because you can't. Come inside, link up and pull the trigger. Because I had a good dig on me, and I just thought, I said, you waited for this opportunity since you was a kid. And I didn't think about they let you go and all that. I just thought, I just wanted to play as well as I could. And I knew we were up against it because they were a great side. And I come inside after about 20 minutes, linked up 1-2 with Beasley and hit it first time. And he went right to the top corner, beat Seaman 25 yards. It was just
Did not get any better than that?
No. It's the greatest game of football I've ever played. And as I was coming out, every hair on my body stood up. It's just the adrenaline was just pumping. It was unbelievable. And
emotional.
Yeah. And my dad had died, Chris, about a year before, so he'd seen me play for West Ham and City, and he was a massive Evertonian. And I always say that night he was there for me in spirit, because I scored one in the second half as well, a free kick. That was a little bit lucky, just skew-whiffed underneath the wall. And, I think he was there just blowing them goals in for me. But, I'll never forget that game of football, because it was, to me, it was just, it was unreal. I've scored against Liverpool in the derby and got man of the match at Wembley, but nothing could beat that, ever.
There's some with Neville so far, five-a-sides.
He was brilliant, Nev. My first, I always remember, shooting practice against Neville Southall. Can't get any better than that. Knocked the ball into Howard, he knocks it off, and he wants a nice, crisp shot. Ian Snods, he's behind me. So sets me up fucking big time. He goes, but you can't chip, Nev. So I said, I bet you the tenner. So I fucking knocked the ball into Howard, he knocks it back. And as I'm running up, I just stop. Dink! Goes right in the top corner. Like that, made up himself, turn around, and all the lads are looking down on the ground like that. And I turn around that way, and fucking Nev is running towards me to fucking run me up. So I I fucking start running up the pitch, don't I? And he's just running after me. He's legged me one lap. And then we're on the second lap then. The training ground is fucking huge. He's going, you better stop now because I'm going to follow you home if you don't. I went, oh, what's wrong with him? I had a long sign, so I didn't know what it was all about, you know. And I was shouting, don't hurt him, Nev. He's got a game on Saturday and all that like. And I'm thinking, fucking hell. So the third lap goes and I'm thinking, but I'm making it worse for myself. He's never going to catch me, is he? And as he's going like that, I'm going, way, like that, nearly getting me and going, way. And all the lads are going, way. He's going, you better fucking stop now. I'm going to kill you. And I'm going, oh my God, what have I done? So going on to the fourth lap, I think to myself, I'm going to have to take my medicine here. And I stop. I weighed about 10 stone when I was playing. And he just picked me up like that. I swear to God, and just threw me on the ground. Started standing on me like that. Everyone's grabbing him off. Nobody chips Nev. I was like that on the floor. I had all fucking scars on me from fucking these studs. And I said to Snods, thanks very much, Snods. Stitched me right up.
Nobody chips Nev. As if he describes himself as Nev. Like,
yeah.
Somebody asked, did Neville Southall used to put Brett Angel in goal in five-a-side?
Yeah. Yeah. You know the televised one with the old players? Remember, it was
like the Masters.
The Masters, that was it, yeah. I didn't enjoy that, but I played in it a few times. Anyway, we were shit. Everton was shit. Honest to God. Brett Angel, fucking hell. Fucking turned up and Ned went, he sat there and he went, what fucking chance have we got here? Fucking winning this? Meaning like, and he was pointing at Brett and he went, you're going in goal. He said, I'm better out than you.
He stuck him in.
Fucking stuck him in goal. Nev was a great outfield player. You know what? The ball would come back to me, just go, flick it up and just go, fuck off. And the keepers have got to be that good now, haven't they? He'd be exceptional now.
So how long were you at Everton?
Signed in 90. The first season of the Premiership was 91, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I was there till 94. Right. And you know what? We beat United 3 away from home. You know, I always look at the best coaches and the managers, and obviously it was Howard and John Lyle. And like, just sums them up where, you know, the opposition, a little insight to how we were playing United at Old Trafford. And I was all right-footed, and Alan Harper was all right-footed. And he said, right, Kanchelskis was on fire. He said, right, we worked at it. He said, I'm going to play your left side, Mark, and Alan behind you. He said, because the Russian, all he does, he said, he just wants to come inside. He just never goes outside. So just come inside and show him. Just give him a big, just say to him, go down there, let him go down there. He said, and when you camp, you bite. And then, and if he does come inside, we're tackling on our good foot then, aren't we? Because we're all strong on the right. The game starts and like, I just come across his body and it, like, you know, dead obvious. And he starts running and he never used to cross the ball, Kanchelskis. So he'd go and he'd come back on himself. And then I was nicking the ball and we were away then. And he got took off after 20 minutes and we beat them 3-0. And I always say, you know, things like that makes a difference. When,
little
things. Your gaffer.
Little things.
They refer to him as the Russian as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ivan Drago.
The Russian.
So when it came to leaving it, was it, did you want to go? Was it time? Well,
you know, you make decisions in your life, and I thought Mike Walker took over, and the only thing we had in common was our initials, you know. And like the great managers before him, everyone knows where the gaffer parks his car. And Belfield's, I don't know if you've ever been there, it was a beautiful train. It was the first training complex built in the 60s, beautiful. Used to have a little strip of grass that was only used in March called Wembley, so it was left there, and it was the pitches were immaculate. I don't know, just that you think, you know, sometimes like I look back and how lucky I was, you know what I mean, playing there, especially at Belfield. It was just a fantastic training ground. What was the question? This is from beer, this.
I could see that one coming. I could see you going, I forgot what we're talking about here.
From beer, this, lad.
So when it came to leaving,
I had no option because obviously Mike Walker, that's why I fucking forgot everything. He come on this successive Norwich winning the game against Bayern Munich, and the job was too big for him, you know what I mean? And the day he was putting MW on the car park, Well, he wasn't. It was the ground staff. And like Howard had parked his car there. Harry Catterick had won championships. You know, all the great managers. So, and I thought he had an ego, you see, and it was always too. The club was too big for him. He was never there. He was always there at the end of training. Never used to come and watch the training. So, to me, it was a manager I couldn't relate to, and so I pulled a card in this day. And I seen MW and I thought, fuck that, that's for me, innit? It's my initials, yeah. All the lads are going, you won't leave it there. I went, I fucking will. I said, by the time I finished training, he'll be just coming in so we can share this, share this car space. So, anyway, he comes in early, he must be looking for his MW on the floor. Anyway, I get summoned off the training ground. So I'm up in his office and he sat opposite and he goes, you've got a terrible attitude, you son. I said, you're a terrible fucking manager. He said, move your car. I said, you haven't got any sense of humour. And that was it then. I'd scored in the derby against Liverpool the previous season and he never put me in the squad to play against Liverpool. So I just knew my time was up there. But I knew it wouldn't last long, but I just wanted to play football.
How old were you at this point?
I think I was about 31 then.
Right.
Yeah, so I ended up... I still had a year left on my contract, and I think it was 10 games to go in Birmingham. Wanted me to go there on loan. They were struggling at the bottom of the second division. And I thought, well, I'd go there and play football, you know what I mean, instead of, because I was out of his plans.
Yeah.
Did you go play a coach? Did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. Well, not I went on loan originally, and I remember David Sullivan ringing me up and he said, listen, we're relegated. He said, just come and enjoy the season to the end because they've got to pay your wages. And I said, what if we keep you up? He said, well, it's 75 grand. He said, but I know I won't be paying you that, Mark. I said, well, you never know. And they hadn't won for 3 months and we played Middlesbrough and I took the piss. We beat them 3-0 and out of the 10 games, we won 8, drew 1 and lost 1. Missed staying up by 1 goal.
Oh.
So I'd done I'd made a difference there and he offered me the player coach's job, Sullivan. And I said, what about Barry? He said, never mind about Barry. He said, I want you there.
How did you get on with Barry Fry?
Well, Barry was me. He went, fucking hell, Wardy, just come down and show these cunts how to play football and all that. Like, because he remembered me from when I was at Northwich, he was at Barnet as a manager. And like, he remembered me from all them days. So anyway, he said, no, I said, no, if I'm coming as the coach. I said, so he said, oh, I've got a problem. I said, well, listen, that's the deal. Anyway, he had to drop one of his coaches down, but they obviously got relegated then and had a squad of about 58 players. He was fucking doing a deal every other week, wasn't he? Oh, it was like Piccadilly Circus. It was unbelievable, honestly. And I had to like deal with all that. But I had got a flat down there and, I really enjoyed it. The Birmingham people were great. But Barry had this, after 6 weeks, I was dead popular with the lads, you see, and he got a bit insecure. And Karen Brady comes to me and she says, Mark, I've got a problem. So there's going to be a meeting in a minute. He said, and Barry's going to accuse her of trying to take his job. I went, oh, fucking hell. So I didn't have any time to, you know what I mean? Next minute, I walk into the room and there's his physio, his chief scout, his 2 coaches and him. She's behind the desk and I'm there. And when you little scouser on his own, I'm thinking, fucking hell, what have we done here? I wasn't trying to get his job. I think it was him just being a bit insecure. Anyway, Karen went, who's gonna start this? He jumped up. That cons, you're trying to take my fucking job, you fucking this, that, and the other. And I went, sit down, dickhead. Fucking not trying to take your job at all. Anyway, he's screaming and shouting. Barry's one of them people who just likes to hear his voice, you know what I mean? So anyway, he sat down and she went, and she got everyone dead quiet and she went to the physio. How many games have you played in the Premier League? He went, none. Went to Lil Fucillo, the chief scout. How many games have you played in the Premier League? Went, none. David Howells, the coach. How many games have you played in the Premier League? None. Edmund Steen. How many games have you played in the Premier League? None. And as he went to go to Barry, how many games? He went, that's not the fucking point. Just fucking kicked off again. Just like kicked the waste paper baskets and everything. And she went, Barry, that is the point. He's been there where you haven't been. So, at the end of the day, that's where we want to go. So you just all have to get on. And to be honest, I played in nearly every game and went to Wembley and we won that in the auto windscreens thing. And So it was a successful season, but I knew my time was up, really.
So, after you left Birmingham, did you went to a few clubs? Did you Huddersfield, Wigan?
I had a little spell at Huddersfield, and then I went to Wigan, broke my hand at Wigan.
You take a cast off at Dundee or something?
No, what I'd done, the outside bone on my hand was having a bit of a fucking... I always pick on the biggest ones, don't I? A fella called John Gittings, big centre half, and he fucking done me. But as he got up, he stood on me. I split that bone, so I had an operation, and then the club said, listen, we're not, we're after a young squad. So it was more or less saying, like, you're desperate to still play, aren't you? And just out the blue, Dundee rang me up and said, do you want to play? It's $2,000 and all that, like, so. And I had wires put there, so what I'd done, I cut the wires off and just bandaged it up and drove up there. We had a left back years ago at West Ham called Tommy McQueen, and I didn't even know any of the players. So when I got there, he went, wee man. So I went to shake hands with him, and obviously when he shook that, he shook my hand that hard. The wires had gone further into my hand. But he screamed, he went, oh, what the fuck's that? I said, don't say nothing, I've got wires in my hand. I said, fucking hell. He went, you're fucking mad. Anyway, I trained, and that night in the hotel, my fucking arm, I was fucking raging red hot. And I played in the game, and I played the whole game, and I thought, fucking hell, my arm's going to drop off. But I got paid the dough, and then I remember driving home, and all this red, it was like so red, and it was just past my elbow. I thought, so halfway home, I was driving out my arm out the window to cool it down. Got back to Liverpool, and it just shows you, if I hadn't gone to the hospital, it had gone up. I had septic, blood poisoning, didn't I? Because of all that.
Oh.
I was in hospital for 10 days and I lost my arm. And then I think at that stage, you think, how desperate can you be, you know what I mean, to play a game of football?
Yeah.
I was lucky, really. Really lucky. If it had gone through and my arm into my organs, I'd have been finished.
What are you doing now then, mate? You're down south?
Now, yeah, obviously working for Capital. Phil, my boss, met Phil at a couple of events years ago, and he always said if I was moving back down here, he'd give me an opportunity. And I've been here 18 months now. So, and before the COVID, I was doing really well with all my events, hosting events before West Ham games, West Ham Way pre-match events, and still doing after dinner stuff. So I'm lucky enough to have played in a lot of the top clubs in the country, whether it's Manchester, Liverpool, London or Birmingham. And so if there's anyone out there who wants an after dinner speaker, I'm available.
To speak to. So your events, were you putting on with other West Ham players and other players in general?
The lads look after each other, and I get an ex-player with me, before the games, from every background, you know what I mean? It's like recent players to players who played in the 70s and 80s. And it's a great response because the fans come to listen to the stories. And on the other hand, I'm with Alvin in a couple of weeks' time up in the city for the dinner that was supposed to have happened at Christmas. No one's asked for the money back. And it's just like we're having another, it's like a Christmas dinner in May. Yeah. So, and that's a lot of the, I know Ozzy dealers will be there, and the likes of Kerry Dixon.
So it's not just West Ham.
No, these are just, this is like a business lunch, but these have been going on for ages. But the West Ham crowd, I've got some coming up in Dartford and Rayleigh and all through Essex, because there's a big West Ham area.
So if any West Ham fans are interested,
just get me on there. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter and that. So, and
all the details are on there.
But I miss doing them because the COVID is shut a lot of things down, and we'll be busy, and just let's hope it stays away and we can all enjoy ourselves.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed that, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, great story. And thanks for sharing it with us.